What is leadership in football? So a number of years ago, the British Army created a Centre for Army Leadership, and they've come up with this, I suppose, an acronym that is basically how they see leadership in the British Army. Now, this is related to the battlefield and going out to war zones, working on operations, going on exercise, whatever it might be, doing public engagement, everything that the British Army do. They sort of boil it down to this, and they teach this to their leaders as a sort of handrail for how they should act and behave when they're working with junior soldiers. And I looked at it and I thought, do you know what? This relates so closely to what we as football coaches should be doing with our teams. Now, I'll throw the acronym up there. And it is basically, it uses leaders, and that's broken down as lead by example, encourage thinking, apply reward and discipline, demand high performance, encourage confidence in the team, recognise individual strengths and weaknesses, and strive for team goals. Now, hopefully it's not just me, but I think that just maps so well to what we want from our football coaches, what we want from a captain in our team, what we want from our senior players, and in fact, actually, what we want from all of our players within that team. So all I'm going to do is we'll just go through each one, and I'm just going to break down sort of what that looks like, how do we implement it, what sort of thing, how does that relate to us as football coaches. So first up then, lead by example. I mean, as coaches, we should absolutely be setting that example for our players. We should be turning up every day well prepared with a session plan in hand, ready to go, pitch laid out as much as we can, conscious obviously we sometimes turn up and we're thrown straight onto the pitch and we have to get straight into it. But can we set the standard and have a good positive attitude, speak to people the way we want to be spoken to? We've got to remember that these youth players will look up to us as coaches, and if we're doing that, then the players are going to see that and it's going to instill that same value in them. And this is something that we can promote in our captains, in our senior players. We have some of the senior girls, some of our junior players that train with some of the senior girls, and absolutely they're looking at those senior players to set the example and thinking, how do they train, how do they work, how do they speak to people, and that's what they're looking up to. Next up, we've got encourage thinking. So absolutely, this is so important for all of our players. We want to encourage thinking in our players, and actually, can we map this to parents as well? We want to encourage our parents to think about the game, analyse it a little bit, feed that back to the coach. What do you think they did well? What do you think we didn't do well? Are we on the same wavelength when it comes to that conversation on the way home from the match afterwards? Are they telling the player the same thing that the coach is going to be telling them? Or are they on a completely different path where actually they're telling them the opposite of what we've been coaching them? So if we're coaching a player to play out from the back and then the player gets in the car with their parent and they says, nope, you're at the back, just get rid of it, then that's a completely different philosophy. So we need to align on those, but we need to encourage thinking, and we need to encourage our players to think about what they're doing in the match. Why are they doing something? And encourage them to engage in it. It will improve their decision making when it comes to playing football. It will improve their reading of the game astronomically. Next up, we've got applying reward and discipline. Now, this is a tried, tested and proven process for any walk of life, whether you're working in business, whether you're in the army, or whether you're coaching football. Applying reward is so effective. Can we identify a good bit of play by a player or a unit? If the defensive unit have done something really well, adjusted their shape quickly, pressed well, covered well, whatever it might be, can we reward that? Whether that just needs to be verbal praise, or if we've had a strong season and the players have done really well, can we take them on a day out, or can we treat them? If somebody's done really well, we have player of the match trophies. That's a prime example of applying reward. And discipline as well. Can we have a forfeit if a drill doesn't go too well, or for the losing team or something? A little bit of a forfeit where they think, actually, I don't want to do that again. Let's get stuck in next time. Let's work a little bit harder. Or indeed, in the event of bad behaviour, particularly at the younger ages, is there a little bit of discipline where if somebody's being disruptive in the session, can we say, right, go and spend 5 minutes, just sit out, take a break from training, come back with a little bit of a better attitude on you maybe, and you can get back engaged in the session. And it means we're not disrupting play for the rest of the team. Demanding high performance. Now, we're not at professional level, but we want our teams to perform to the highest of their ability every time. Might mean early nights. It might just mean turning up with a good attitude and working hard, not floating around the pitch. If a player doesn't want to be there, can we take them off? Can we have a chat with them? Is there a reason they're maybe not performing up to the levels that we know they can? Is something going on at home? Are they worried about something? Are they anxious? So how do we get that high performance out of them, and how do we demand it? Next, we need to encourage confidence in the team. This is massive. So what we don't want is players thinking they have to do everything because they don't trust their teammates and they don't have any confidence in the rest of the team. We want players that are happy to release the ball or make a sacrificial run so that we can get a shot on goal or to make that assist. We don't want players thinking that they need to do everything themselves, and we need to build that confidence up by working together and providing chemistry and connection within the team. Recognizing individual strengths and weaknesses is huge. Players are all individuals, and how we speak to them, how we deal with them, how we coach them will change from player to player. Some players will react very well to a little bit of tough love and being pushed that little bit harder. Other players need a softer approach where actually we need to build their confidence up. We need to take a little bit of time with them, maybe have a chat and break a drill down a little bit more, explain it to them in a little bit more detail, and it's recognizing what works for each of our individual players so that we can get the best out of them ultimately. And lastly, we want to strive for team goals. The team needs to have its own esprit de corps, its own ambitions, its own objectives. Now, whether that means sitting at the start of the season and setting objectives of what we want to achieve as a team, as a squad, as a club on the wider collective, but definitely for individuals as well, we should be looking at setting objectives and goals of what they want to achieve throughout the season. But team goals, absolutely. Try not to make it just, we want to win the league, we want to get to a cup final, or any of that kind of stuff. Try and put a little bit more detail into it so that everybody's working together. Can we play expansive football? Can we learn possession-based football? Can we learn to play out from the back? Whatever that goal might be, get together as a team, as a squad, get the parents involved, let them know what it is that the team's goals are so that they're on the same wavelength and everybody is working in harmony towards the same goals at the end of the season. Hopefully you found this video useful. I just think this is a great handrail for the leaders of the British Army, and it translates so well to football coaches, our leaders on the pitch, our leaders at home as well, our parents. Kids look up to their parents, they listen to their parents, they've got respect for them. And I just think this is a great way for us to look at our leadership in football and make sure that we are getting the best out of our players and doing the best we can for them.